First of all, I'm going to apologize because I had like out of nowhere an allergy attack hit. It's like cloudy and overcast, like it's going to rain. And for some reason, I just started sneezing like crazy. I was like, I'm going to wreck my vehicle. But I'm fine. For the most part, I'm fine. I wanted to get this moment down. I've seen this happen before, but I thought I would go ahead and talk about something that's consistently bugged me, but keeps me motivated to want to be able to make a better living for myself because of one reason in particular. So I was shopping at Aldi, buying some groceries, and there was a young couple, maybe in their 20s, that was in front at the register in front of me, and they had maybe a handful of items, just some random things. I don't even remember what everything was. It struck me how, I didn't notice anything at first, and they didn't look disheveled or anything. The young lady looked fairly put together, like she'd just gotten off work. The other guy looked like he just rolled out of bed, but whatever. That isn't a disparaging remark. That's just the physicality that sort of stuck with me. Now, I want to preface this by saying that whenever I did security for the many, many years I did, like 15 plus years, you begin to understand and look at everybody. And also, quite frankly, as a dark-skinned fellow, I'm always looking out for people like, does that motherfucker have a gun? And that's just me. I just can't help it, right? Or is somebody mistaking me for shoplifting or something? Always there. And they had gotten up to the front of the line. And then this thing happened, and it brought back a memory that I'll share with you here in just a moment. This was a circumstance where I wasn't able to do anything about it, but because I didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. The guy was the one paying, and he had, I think he had a 5 and 3 ones. That I physically saw. And so I was like, okay, it's going to take a moment to get through because he's paying with cash and a card. And his card got declined, but I didn't realize what had happened until they had already left. Now, every fiber of my being was saying, okay, that, I think it rang up to be like $26 in groceries. And believe me, I get it. Economy's hard. My budget's tight as shit. I'm a working artist. And that's a rough thing. I had the money on me. I could have bought that stuff for them. Sometimes it can backfire. Sometimes it can raise embarrassment. Sometimes you don't really know what's going on. And that was the real shame, was I wanted to help, but it happened too quickly, and I also had my groceries there, and I didn't really know what to do. I was like, I don't really know how to proceed with this. And now it's kind of gotten to me because I remember that it took me immediately back to a moment when I was young. I was maybe 16, and a bunch of us had gotten together, and this was in Warrensburg. If you're ever in Warrensburg, Missouri, and you're on the south end of town going down Business 13, there is a church in a very odd building that looks like what was once a movie theater. And it was a movie theater at one point in time. And a bunch of us had gone out, and, most of us were Air Force brats. So we had either allowances or we had part-time jobs or something like that, and we'd grown up with and around money because of the military, right? You had a decent living. And when we'd gone, I remember there was one particular young lady whose family was in dire straits for a lot of reasons, but she was very good in school and had the dreams of going and doing more with her life and getting out from a trailer that she lived in with what I believe at the time was 6 siblings and her mother and father. And it took me back to that moment. That's probably why I waited too goddamn long to run after the couple and be like, hey, I got this. Come on in. Your stuff is still boxed up at the front. I'll get it. I was stuck in this moment remembering how when we were all getting ready to go into the movie theater, I didn't make a lot. I had just gotten my job at Little Caesars. And so I think I was making, seriously, back then with minimum wage, I think it was $4.25 an hour. It was. Holy shit, that's terrible. So then I remember watching everyone get ready, and the movie we were going to watch, this This is so fucked up that I remember this. I believe the movie was Cutthroat Island. Remember that Gina Davis pirate film that killed it until Jack Sparrow came along? It's a long fucking time ago. We're all lining up to go see the movie, and I remember that, like, I had my money. I had like maybe, I think I had probably most of my paycheck on me. I'd put half in my savings account, so I had a good $100 on me. And I think to go to the movies back then at that particular movie theater may have been $5 a head, for the matinee showing. But I looked over and I saw her counting out nickels in her hand. She had kind of stayed back from the rest and was hanging out of the car and just counting over the nickels in her hand. I didn't even have a moment to think about it. And I went up and I was like, I need tickets for 8 people. Now, the really bizarre part is, I've had a friend of mine at that time later turned out to be a piece of shit and just not a good person. He was like, oh, big spender, gonna show off all this other stuff. No, the reason I paid for everyone was not to fucking show off. I didn't want to just pay for her. I didn't want there to be anything, thought about that action. So I thought, I'm just gonna do this. I was like, you know what? You only live once, dude. I'm just paying for everybody. Live with it, okay? I don't have to fucking pay for you if you don't want it. No, whatever. I'm just giving you shit, dude. Quit flexing. And he was always a piece of shit like that. Just couldn't see it. Couldn't read the room. Went to the movies. And what that meant was later, when we were all fucking around, hanging around at Sonic, she had a little bit more money. I didn't spot everyone on that one. Because even back then, Sonic was fucking expensive. But I remember thinking to myself, I didn't even think twice about it in that moment. And so time goes on, and we stayed friends for a while and everything else like that. And the really crazy thing was, some years later, the very same dude that just couldn't read the room, didn't see that she was, because he was just happy to be out and about. He was just kind of a dickhead. That same dude that criticized me, he ended up marrying her. And the really sad, shitty part about that is that she never got a chance to go to college. He convinced her to be a stay-at-home mom for a while. And then when he couldn't fucking make his career work out, she went into the Army. Now, the reason I'm telling that story is not because it's a little therapeutic for me, because I feel bad for her. I've never totally forgiven that dude. And there's a lot of other history there that I'm not going to go into because I don't want to bore you guys with it. But the point is that kind of shit never leaves you. And, I should have been faster. And that's a self-criticism on me. I should have done more in that moment. I feel terrible now, and that's probably going to fuck with me for the rest of the week. But that is truly one of the things that I think of as an artist, and as just a working fucking professional. You don't even have to be an artist. We talk about what good can we do in this world, and a lot of it comes down to, can we do the things that will, help us become better people? That's really where it's at. In other news, I'm meeting my brother up here because AMC's doing that whole limited release thing for like Japanese movies. And Ultraman, I think it's Shin Ultraman, is going to be at the theater. So I'm like super stoked for that. We're going to head to the bookstore first. And then after that, we're probably going to check out this movie. Hopefully it doesn't sell out. It normally doesn't. I came here a while back to see a Godzilla flick, one that hadn't been released here in America. And I love it. I don't know why I don't go to these Fathom events more. The one that sucks, I missed out on the Dark Crystal Fathom event. I was pissed about that. I fucking love that movie. If you watch my last videos, I'm super into that shit. So yeah, that's going to be fun. But otherwise, I think I'm also going to end up hitting the mall. The other mall. Not the one that's near here. There's a better mall that still has a Barnes and fucking Nobles in it. And I am looking forward to that. It also has a really rad arcade and a vintage toy store in it. But I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to hit those or not. It's kind of a slow day, and I've just been really weird the last couple days. I went to go visit my parents as well, too, which thankfully that went pretty well. I don't know if any of you guys go through this sort of thing, but visiting my parents can be sort of an anxiety-inducing situation, but I'm extremely happy to see them as well. It's fucking complicated. And I hate fucking complicated relationships. Like, I like when somebody's like, it's complicated. What the fuck does that mean? I kind of get it. Because with my parents, it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. Like, I love my parents dearly. I really do. I have never had the best relationship with my father. It's always been rocky. My mom, up and down all the time, especially with religious shit. But for the most part, it's been pretty okay. most of my siblings, I don't get along with except for my brother. He's the one that, like, you'll see him occasionally, like in videos that I posted. He looks just like me, just a little bit bigger, and he's always there. He's got my back at shows. He's helped me at shows before. It's fucking rad. So that to me was like, you know, I love doing stuff like this, and it reminds me, like, you know, that it's one more thing. Whenever I never used to do these things because I was like, well, it's just a waste of time, a waste of money. It's not, and I have to remind myself all the time that, like, I do these things because I want to experience life, and depression can fucking rob you of that. And that was what bringing this full circle back around. That was exactly what the fuck was scaring me earlier when I was sitting there thinking about that couple that I didn't buy the groceries for. I was like, shit, like, it's gonna fucking roll over me again. I'm gonna start feeling shitty, start making stuff, you know, self-doubt issues happen, everything. And the reason I'm looking around is I keep hearing doors slam around me. I'm sitting here in a parking lot, and I'm just like, whoa, what's going on? What's happening? So, yeah. Anyway, I thought it'd be a change to actually record this outside of my studio, although I spend a lot of fucking time in my studio, just for a change of pace for you guys to look at. So, yeah. Oh, and then I had a question that was was commented somewhere that I shared. I think it was on the Stimulus Network that I had shared that the latest video. The last, it was 2 back, where I showed some of the stuff in my studio. Yeah, I built that studio, and yes, I chose that fucking avocado green because I love that, and I have all kinds of dumb shit in there in that that studio, and it's my dumb shit. Someday soon, hopefully before the end of this year, I'll have everything completed, all the shelves and everything, and I plan on using a lot more of that. The area that I'm filming in is not where this was supposed to be filmed. I had a lot of other ideas for production and you know, execution of videos, but for now, I think it's working. And either that or I come and sit in a vehicle somewhere and I'll be like, I want to film in here. All right, I think that's enough of an update for right now. Went to Barnes & Noble. That was pretty cool. It's always really nice down on the Plaza, but man, if you're from Kansas City, you know how expensive it is down here, and a little bit about how pretentious sometimes it can be down here. But otherwise, it was really nice. Ultraman, Shin Ultraman was pretty freaking cool. It's definitely got its cheese factor, but I loved it. It was really awesome, and just, I don't know, it's a nice addition to the overall mythos. I'm a pretty recent, deeper fan of the character. I always liked it when I was a kid, and he showed up in any movies with Godzilla. And this was an interesting take. From what I understand, there's a lot more versions and variations of him, multi-dimensional versions, things like that. So this was really nice to see in the theater. I forget, you know, that how much joy there really is. I truly enjoy subbed, not dubbed stuff. But it's interesting, that's for movies, for live action movies, I prefer it subbed. Subtitling is the way to go. For anime, for some reason, I rather enjoy the dubbed versions, but that's also because I'm a fan of a lot of the different voice actors out there. All right, so it's starting to get a little rainy, so I'm gonna head home now and finish up this update from there. Okay, I'm home. That was great. It does look like some sort of snowy kind of wintry mix is going to be coming, but I'm home, and that was great. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and finish this off by talking about, you know what that was? That was the idea, just floating the fuck away. So I was thinking, I can't believe I just forgot what the hell I was going to talk about. I don't know. In between trying to run down here and feed the cats because they were losing their mind. They're like, oh my God, so hungry, bowl is empty. And it actually was kind of empty. I'm a terrible, terrible cat dad. I am now going to jump in and catch up on some Twitch and work on some stuff. And I have some more artwork I need to work on. So overall, really good, feeling really inspired. Sometimes getting out, although, you know, I know that it can be expensive and prohibitive going to the movies, but sometimes just getting out of your circle, which is what I was going to talk about creatively, and infusing yourself with new stuff can really make a difference. And that's something I'm needing to do. One of the things, and I was inspired by somebody else on this, was to try and read one book a week and then talk about it. Haven't done that yet. I'm already 1 week behind technically, but I'm not gonna look at it that way. I'm gonna look at it that, well, this is something I want to do and read, and I have a ton of books that really don't require a whole bunch of heavy reading. They're just really good art books. There is some fantastic copy in there. There is some fantastic information and stuff I'd love to learn, and that's more akin to what I'm wanting to do, and then slowly building up to getting back into reading some sort of fantasy stuff at some point. So that's definitely something on the board for me there. Yeah, so I don't know. And I was also going to say too, if you guys have any recommendations on other fantasy books or things like that that you think would be interesting, I am always blown away. In fact, when I was at Barnes & Noble, I made a checklist. I was taking pictures of different books that I was like, man, I got to pick this up. Or, and actually, sometimes I'd been so far out of looking for musical physical media, that's kind of cool. I found a George Harrison collection that I didn't know about, a DVD and CD collection that I was like, oh, hey, this is really cool. It's really weird because there's so many times that I'll get out there and I forget what's made it to vinyl, like this Labyrinth record. You can tell my mind is going a million miles a minute right now. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off and get this thing uploaded tonight. This was a little bit crazier, but, as far as just places and where I was recording, just because of what was going on and everything else like that, it's just nuts. But I'm going to settle down now. I'm going to make some late night snacks for myself. I'm going to watch some Twitch because Robot Co-op's on right now. Enjoy the hell out of that show. And then I am going to get back onto drawing and doing some other stuff. So I will catch you guys in the next update.